A king lay dying of dysentery in a military camp on African soil, having already survived one catastrophic defeat and capture on an earlier crusade, and still he had marched his army back into the same fight. Today, August 25, the Church celebrates Saint Louis IX, born on April 25, 1214, in Poissy, France, who died on this very date in 1270, at age 56, during the Eighth Crusade. He became King of France at just 12 years old, in 1226, after the sudden death of his own father. Louis VIII, ruled first under the regency of his mother, Blanche of Castile, and only later assumed full power himself. Throughout his reign, Louis attended Mass daily, practiced constant voluntary penance, and yet somehow balanced that intense inner life with an administration widely praised, even by secular historians of the era, as remarkably just. He reformed the French judicial system, banned trial by combat as a way of settling disputes, and was so trusted for his fairness that other European monarchs repeatedly asked him to arbitrate their own conflicts. He personally led 2 crusades. The first, between 1248 and 1254, ended in military disaster and his own capture in Egypt. The second, launched in 1270 toward Tunisia, ended with him contracting dysentery and dying on African soil, surrounded by the very army he had led there. 27 years later, in 1297, Pope Boniface VIII canonized him, making Louis the only king of France the Church has ever declared a saint. He is remembered today as patron of the secular Franciscan order, and cities around the world, including St. Louis in the United States, still carry his name. His life teaches that real justice, the kind people trust enough to hand you their conflicts, grows out of a heart disciplined first in prayer. On this same August 25, centuries later, in a very different corner of Europe, a Spanish priest in his 90s closed his eyes in Rome, having spent most of his life fighting to give the poorest children in the city something almost nobody thought they deserved, an education. This is Saint Joseph Calasanz, born in 1557 in Peralta de la Salle, in the Aragon region of Spain, who died in Rome on August 25, 1648, at age 90. Trained in law and theology at the universities of Lleida, Valencia, and Alcalá de Henares, he was ordained a priest in 1583 and spent years serving in the Spanish diocese of Lleida and La Seu d'Urgell before moving permanently to Rome in 1592. It was there that he came face to face with the extreme poverty and complete lack of schooling among the city's poorest children, and that encounter awakened a vocation that would define the rest of his life. He founded in Rome what is widely recognized as the first free, permanent public school in all of Europe, a genuinely revolutionary idea by the standards of his time, and within a decade it had grown from a handful of students to roughly 1,500 children, gaining a permanent home in 1612 at Piazza Navona with the formal approval of the Holy See. He formalized this mission by founding the Piarists, religious officially known as the Pauline Congregation of the Poor of the Mother of God of the Pious Schools, elevated to a full religious order in 1622 by Pope Gregory XV, whose members take a fourth vow, beyond the traditional 3, dedicated entirely to educating the young. Canonized in 1767 by Pope Clement XIII, he was declared in 1948 by Pope Pius XII the universal patron saint of all Christian popular schools in the world. Calasanz's life teaches that dignity often begins with someone willing to teach a child no one else thought was worth the time. In a very different way, a Roman notary once threw down his own official register in the middle of a public reading and ran, not away from danger, but straight toward it, in search of a baptism he feared he might never live to receive. This is Saint Genesius of Alls, who lived in the city of Alls, in Gaul, present-day France, in the late 3rd and early 4th centuries, and who is remembered on this same August 25. He worked as a public notary, a profession that demanded exceptional skill in shorthand to transcribe speeches, testimony, and judicial rulings for the official Roman imperial archives, and at the time of his martyrdom he was still only a catechumen, someone in preparation for baptism, not yet formally received into the Church. According to the tradition preserved about him, Genesius was recording, in the course of his official duties, the public reading of a new imperial edict ordering persecution against Christians when, outraged by what he was hearing, he threw down his register, abandoned his post on the spot, and fled the city in search of a bishop willing to baptize him before Roman authorities could seize him. The bishop he found hesitated, perhaps fearing a trap, and told him that shedding his own blood for Christ would carry the same purifying power as the water of baptism itself, words that proved prophetic when Genesius was captured shortly afterward and beheaded, around the year 303 or 308, during the persecutions of Emperors Diocletian and Maximian. He is venerated today as the patron saint of notaries and secretaries, the very professions tied to the work he once fled from his own desk to leave behind. His life teaches that real conversion sometimes asks everything of us before we've even finished preparing for it, and that courage, not readiness, is what God actually calls for in that moment. And with that, we close today's 3 Saints of August 25th. If any of these lives moved you, follow Saint of the Day, like this video, and comment asking the intercession of St. Louis, Saint Joseph Calasanz, or Saint Genesius for someone you love, because every like, comment, and share like that truly is a small act of evangelization. Most of all, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, the complete prayer to each of them is right here in the video description.